Yo, what's up YouTube? Today, in this video, I will be showing you how I went from this to this. And I will also be posting some guides on how to use each weapon in Rivals to their very best. Alright, so without further ado, let's get started. So the first mistake I made was not knowing how to adjust my settings properly. So to start, let's go to settings, and over here you'll see the settings that I use. Now, what's most important is that we disable shadows and disable textures. This allows your device to run at higher FPS. And accessible flashes is up to personal opinion, because some people prefer that they don't get actually flashbanged in game, where the entire screen is just white. I'll demonstrate this right now. Another thing is changing your sensitivity. The higher your sensitivity is, the harder it will be to aim. But the lower your sensitivity is, the more you're going to have to move your mouse to turn your screen. ADS sensitivity multiplier, I just turned it down to 0.95. For you, it's up to personal preference. Default's at 0.5. But I just have it at 0.95 so then I can have an easier time scoping in and hitting more accurate shots, with the camera zoom effects as well at 0.2. And what this does is it makes it so then I can use my assault rifle. Instead of zooming it all the way, I can have more accurate shots and I can hit my enemies from further away, while also having the view around me, so if someone comes from the corner over here, I can still see them. Another mistake that I made before was I set my FOV way too high. I had it up to maybe 120 or 115, and by doing this, you're basically handicapping yourself, because you're not going to be able to know where you're shooting at, and your target's going to be super small from far ahead. See how small they are right now? Compared to if I just did like 90, which is what I'm playing at right now. A whole lot easier time seeing my target, and I am also more likely to hit headshots because I can just see my target more clearly. Another huge thing is turning off your camera shake, because with camera shake, it just makes your camera so jittery that you can't focus on your target. I personally turn off my field of view effects too. And then I also do hide muzzle flashes, because when you're zooming in, you want to see your target more. Then in my crosshair, I personally just use none, but if you're going to use a crosshair, I prefer using a dot, or just using simple bars, but it's all up to you. Another thing that I do is I use a practice range to practice aiming and tracking. So basically what this does is it allows me to focus on my enemy and then be able to track them. And this translates into actual matches, because your enemies are just going to be moving around all over the place. And essentially what this does is this helps you be more accurate with your shots wherever they're moving. And you can even use stuff like grenade to make yourself go faster, so then you have more of a challenge to hit your target at higher speeds. And it is important that you're moving while tracking, because, again, Rivals is a movement-based game. Without movement, then everyone's going to be able to hit you. Which brings me to my next point, movement. It is very important that you're moving around all over the place, so then your opponent will have a harder time tracking you. So, a few tips that I have is to always b-hop around. You never want to be running around like this. Like, you're not going fast enough, your enemies are going to be able to hit you a whole lot easier, and you're just too predictable. But when you're using movement tech, like fists, or you're just sliding around and b-hopping, then you're a whole lot harder to hit. Now, a few things with sliding is that when you're on a ledge, it gives you a little gravity boost that allows you to go faster. Which is why when I'm over here, I don't just b-hop off of it. You're not going faster. You're gonna go like this, you're gonna go a whole lot faster. And another thing is that with these jump pads right here, like, you're gonna be able to go really far if you slide into them rather than just jump into them, because of how the velocity system works. So for example, if I just jump into the pad like this, I'm just gonna go super slow and my enemies are gonna be able to hit me really easily. But if I slide into them, you're going a lot faster. And using this previous trick where you slide off a ledge, you're gonna go a lot faster. You're gonna be able to travel further distances, and your enemies are just not gonna be able to hit you as easily. Another thing is grenade boosting. This really helps a lot in arena. For example, if you're in arena and you only have the default loadout, you can use a grenade to boost yourself. So basically, what this is you go up to the ramp. Typically, people hold it while they're going up to the ramp, but for simplicity's sake, you're gonna see this orb over there that travels towards you. That's where the grenade is going to explode when it is released. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna want to hold this down. Now, some pros, they hit it against the wall and then they equip their fists and they go really far across the map. But since we're starting out, we're gonna wait for the orb to come and then we're just gonna side jump like that, and it boosts us to the other side. This is very useful because it helps us get to the other side and just spray our enemy down before they can do anything. Another thing that you can do is you can move really fast in arena if you're using fist tech, which is essentially just pressing quick melee and then sliding and then canceling it as soon as you get to like the next ledge using spacebar. Now this took me a while to learn, but it's really useful when you're trying to avoid getting shot by your enemy and you want to travel across the map. Now, if I were to show what the pros do, they'd essentially throw it against the wall like this, and then they just do that and they just spray their enemy down over here. Another thing that I did in the practice range is practice sniping. Now, using fist tech, you're able to like quick snipe, and this really helps with how fast you're able to snipe compared to just sniping regularly. You're gonna have to you're gonna scope back out, and then it's just gonna take a long time. Like, I'm just spam clicking. That's pretty slow. But if you're using your fist, you're able to like remove that little bits of delay, and you're able to shoot a whole lot faster. Another thing that I learned that really helped me, which I will expand upon in later videos, is knowing what melee weapon to use that synergizes with my loadout. Now, if I'm running AK-47 or my assault rifle, and let's say I'm playing arena, I would typically want to use a scythe. Now, why the scythe? Well, because it has this dashing ability that allows you to get on top of pillars rather than having to jump to them. So, what I do is I essentially click my quick melee button, which in my case is F, and I right click after. So, here's it in action. I will go quick melee and right click. Now, another thing with this that's even better is that you can press quick melee and you can wait, and then you can right click at the last moment, so then your weapon immediately gets pulled out, so you can like immediately start shooting after, opposed to just doing this and then your weapon comes out a little bit later. That saves you like 2 shots in combat, which essentially means that your opponent won't have the upper hand when you just immediately pop out like that. Rather, you'll be late and then essentially just immediately start shooting. However, if you're using sniper and you're in an open map, I prefer using fists or katana. Now, I don't really use katana because I'm not that good with it, but I use fists so that I can go full out offense. So essentially what this does is it allows me to shoot my enemies pretty fast, and yeah, it's very effective with like just getting to move around as well, because you have that extra double jump, which makes it so then like your melee is not useless, rather than if I was using katana, I'd have like absolutely no movement. I would just have to like mainly just go defensive the entire time, just trying to predict their bullets. It's not as fun, in my personal opinion. And I definitely wouldn't go with knife with it, unless if your opponents are pretty bad. and you can just backstab them easily. Now, if you're not that good with aiming far, and you want your opponents to come closer, then you could use Riot Shield, which essentially blocks the shots that are coming from your enemies. Now, since this is pretty broken, the only things that can pierce through it is the Exogun and the spray. So that just forces them to come closer to you. So then they have to use their grenade, or they have to use their satchels, they have to use their flamethrower, which are all close combat weapons, which you can essentially bait them into your traps if you have like subspace, which is essentially a trip mine that does like 149 damage, almost one taps them, just leaves them at one shot. So I have a friend that does this. They just Riot Shield and then they just wait for their enemy to go into their location and then they just activate the mine, leaving them at one shot. Last thing I'd like to say before concluding this video is that I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what questions you guys have about Roblox Rivals, so I can specifically make a video for that. Not only will this give me an idea to post about, but it'll also give me a chance to help you become better at this game. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.